kids, this video is all about different ways to sell your product through an automated or like a process or a system. So during this video, I'm going to be talking about building a funnel, hosting a challenge, doing a hybrid model, which is only taught here in Build and Monetize Masters, and finally, some good old-fashioned content marketing and bringing people in. These are essentially your 4 choices on how to set up an automated system to start bringing clients into your business today. Now, big alert, alert, alert. Every single one of these are dependent that you have nailed down the sales stool, which is audience, offer, and pitch. It doesn't matter how good your challenge is, how great your funnel is, it will not work. You will not get clients unless you have those 3 pieces nailed down. So I want to make that real clear here. Now, there are a few options in here that allows you to kind of test this out, be a little bit more loosey-goosey because you can generate some more trust and intimacy with your prospects, but we're going to get into that in this video. Let's start off with number 1, which is just the plain old-fashioned funnel. So what is a funnel? Essentially, you're going to set up a landing page. You're going to send people to this landing page for some sort of freebie offer, some sort of lead magnet that's a PDF or a video series or some sort of juicy piece of information. They raise their hand by giving you their name and email address. They're sent to a thank you page where essentially you deliver the content you promised. Maybe that's a PDF, maybe that's a video series, but the most important part of the funnel is this, is that you are nurturing them quite typically through email marketing to remind them to watch that, to make calls to action, to build your authority. Now there's a lot of videos and examples here in Build and Monetize Masters that will line out this funnel. What I'm including in this whole funnel thing, okay, is definitely the discovery call funnel that I teach here in Build and Monetize Masters. Definitely the product launch formula, which Jeff Walker promotes and teaches, which is essentially a funnel, but it is a series of 3 to 5 videos teaching over the course of 3 or 5 days, getting them excited for the next video until they actually buy something. But all funnels have some sort of free offer, irresistible offer component. They deliver free information, and then they make a call to action, whether or not that be to get on my calendar, to buy my product, or to whatever, right? Whatever we're asking them to do. It's all completely automated, and it's a really, really valuable tool that hopefully by the time you are done in Build and Monetize Masters, we have this set up for you because it's an extremely amazing way to get this set up for your business. But it's quite typically not the thing that we lead with, and I will tell you why. Because of audience, offer, and pitch. If we spend all of this time creating a funnel, straight up, a funnel has a ton of moving parts, and you have to get the traffic right, and you have to get the landing page right, and you have to get the messaging right, and your package and your product right, and honestly, a funnel will not be effective if you haven't tested out and if you don't have the patience to work through all of these steps. Even with as skilled of a digital marketer I am, and with all the hundreds of people I've helped, me helping you, we have to figure those out very specifically for you. We have to figure out the hook. We have to figure out how to get these people on your calendar, and it can be a very time-consuming and frustrating process, but the payoff is huge if you have the willpower to stick with me while we build this funnel for you, because then all of a sudden you have an evergreen lead machine, a sales machine that you can turn off and on and that you can pretty regularly count on for bringing leads or sales into your business. One more quick thing about funnel is that it's really hard to inject a sense of urgency into a funnel. Now, there are pieces of software that'll allow you to do a countdown, but in my opinion, these come across as very inauthentic, and a lot of times your prospects are very aware of what is going on. So there are ways within a funnel, of course, to inject urgency and scarcity, but the next method that I'm going to be talking about, which is the challenge method, that has a lot of urgency and scarcity, and you will probably see it's a lot more potent to get customers right here and right now. So that's the perfect segue into talking about the challenge method. This is where I start most people who come in to build and monetize masters. Now, what is a challenge? Essentially, you've seen me do it before. You are in a Facebook group or some sort of other ecosystem. You're telling people, right? You're still setting up a landing page. You're saying, hey, I'm giving this free 5-day training on X. Whatever X may be. It's some little teeny tiny part of your program that you're going to teach over the course of 5 days, and then you're going to sell into a bigger product or service at the end. Okay? So you're going to still set up a landing page. Hey, you're going to join me live for the next 5 days while I teach X, Y, and Z. It's going to be awesome. And you're going to promote that, and you're going to gather all these email addresses of people who want to join you. Then when the big day comes, you're going to hop onto your Facebook group or wherever your ecosystem is, and you're going to teach for 5 days. Now, this is an extremely powerful way to build that know, like, and trust factor that is so important when people are going to purchase from us. So they show up every day. They see you live every day. We're sharing space through the lens with them. We are natural. We build trust because we are live streaming. We're interacting on comments. Suddenly, the trust factor is through the roof, where essentially when you're doing it in a traditional funnel, it is not, because they are recorded and people are like, I don't know, it's recorded and edited. I don't know if I trust this girl. You know what I mean? So for the challenge, they all show up every day for 5 days. They're soaking it in. They love it. They're participating in some action items that you give them every day. And then at the end of the 5 days, you go into what I call the 5 days of selling, where then you hop in and you're doing a ton of social selling. You're making contact with them. You're offering your calendar. You sell your product. You make your big fat pitch using the bridge method. And then you're basically selling. You're bringing on testimonials. You're telling them, this is the most amazing deal ever. You will never see this deal ever again after the doors close on Tuesday night. So the trust is high, right? You're giving them an aha moment. There's groupthink. All these other people are signing up. You bring on testimonials, and people get really, really excited because you've given them an aha moment. You're a real person. You're helping them, and all of a sudden you're selling this program or package that will help them get few steps even further ahead than you gave them in their free training, and they their mouth is watering, and the urgency is there because you're saying at the end of this challenge that either the doors close, the price goes up, whatever the case may be, there is a significant drop dead date there. So it allows us to push our prospects off of their little fence and to finally make a decision. So that is why when most people come into the Build and Monetize Masters program, I recommend starting with a challenge. In fact, I recommend starting doing a couple of challenges because there are skills that you have to acquire in order to sell through the lens. And you have to build up a prospect list, and you have to gather these people and nurture them. So quite frankly, when I started doing the challenge method, I went through about 4 or 5 challenges till I figured out the one that my audience really resonated with, the one that produced the most sales. Then after I did that, I took that challenge and created an evergreen funnel from it because it was essentially proof of concept, and that worked really, really well. So let's talk, now that you know what the challenge method is, let's talk about the pros and cons, right? Pros, you don't have to have perfection on absolutely everything because you are live and the trust is there, and we don't have to rely on pages and videos to make sure our message is as fine-tuned as it needs to be, because all of that can be erased or stumbled over because we are making that connection through the lens with our audience over the course of 5 days. That's why it's really powerful. Also, you have this sense of urgency. It allows our prospects to understand that they need to freaking make a decision already. Now, the cons are being on live and being on and essentially full-blown launching for about 10 days can be extremely draining. There's quite a few moving parts that of course we'll walk you through in Build and Monetize Masters, but there's a lot of moving parts, the emails and social selling and talking to people, and not only that, just mentally putting yourself out there and saying, hey, here is my stuff, buy from me. That can be really overwhelming. And again, it lasts for about 10 days. So I'm not going to lie to you. The challenge method, highly, highly potent, but it can be extremely stressful. But you can get a ton of clients from it. What are some other cons for the challenge method? It can very much seem like, hey, I'm putting it all in here, and the stakes become very, very high, which then display through the camera. It prevents us from selling, it prevents us from showing up as confident as we can be, and it can be very, very stressful. So it's very potent, yet can be very stressful. Those are the pros and cons of the challenge method. Now, one more thing I want to mention about the challenge method, and another reason why I start most Masters members here, is this. It is, even if you go into a challenge and maybe you don't sell as much as you thought you were going to sell, okay, because there's practice that needs to happen, okay, there are so many benefits to a challenge. Number one, you're building your email list. You're building your prospect ecosystem. Very much a challenge works a lot like a snowball. You do one challenge and people, they watched you and they know and they like and they trust you. So then maybe the next time you do a challenge, then they're ready to buy from you. Essentially, it's a really, really solid way to build an online following. Not only that, I am sure that you resonate with this, that you get out there on social and you put yourself out there and no one responds. A challenge is a very, very effective way for finally getting some traction on social media, finding a following, getting comments, getting likes, meeting new prospects, and really feeling validated about what you're doing online. So even if you don't sell as much as you had hoped in the challenge, there are so many benefits to hosting a challenge. Again, one of the reasons why I recommend to most Build and Monetize Masters members that they should start off with a challenge. Next up, I want to talk about the hybrid method, which is something you're only going to learn right here in Build and Monetize Masters. And this takes the perks from both the challenge and the funnel method and kind of squeezes them together to make a really great thing. I am going to use my Still My Funnel hybrid as an example. So this is what it looks like. Hey everybody, here's a landing page. Do you want a 1-hour video on how to build a funnel for free? People raise their hand. They say yes, absolutely. Then on the thank you page, I say great. I really want to send you this video, but you can only access that video in Build and Monetize University, which is my free Facebook group. So this is where a little piece of the challenge comes in, is I'm able to bring them into a Facebook group where every single Wednesday they can see me live to build trust. They are part of a community. I can tag them in that Facebook group. I'm also building my prospect ecosystem, and we're sending them into that group to watch the video. Then, of course, very much like a funnel, a series of emails goes out to nurture them, to remind them to go to university. I make a sales pitch in that video. The emails remind them about the sales pitch. You can definitely put urgency in there and say, hey, the video is coming down at the end of 2 weeks or 3 weeks if you want to put some urgency in there. But essentially, once I bring them into the group and I'm kind of looking at who's opening the emails, I am able to social sell them. I am able to say, hey, I see you're following along with the challenge or with the, I call it a masterclass. I see that you're following along with the masterclass. Is there any questions? Have you considered signing up for Build and Monetize Masters? Also, one more little thing about the hybrid method. In that video, I say, join Build and Monetize University, and I give them action items homework so I can get a better gauge on who is interacting with the video. So this has proven to be a very, very great method. It takes the pros and cons from each of those methods and merges them into one. Now, again, not going to be as highly potent as the challenge method. However, it's going to be a little less stressful. It's going to allow you to get your message out there But on the other hand, you're also going to have to like create a video and make a sales pitch. And if you go into that without ever trying out a message or trying out anything like that, it could be a total flop because nobody could want your freebie offer and nobody will watch it even if they raise their hand to want it. So I only recommend the hybrid method if you know what you're going to offer is something that people want, unless you're okay with like re-recording a video, re-recording some PDFs as we further hone in on what your giveaway is and what your hook is. Finally, the fourth method can be, and I mentioned this in the Getting Started section of the Build and Monetize Masters program, which is good old content marketing. Okay, so you create a piece of cornerstone content every single week, whether that be a YouTube video or a Facebook Live or a podcast. And essentially, we make sure that on that piece of content that you're going to be promoting for the entire week plus some, because it's going to be evergreen content that you're going to constantly bring up on social media, that you have a very strong call to action, whether or not that be to get on your calendar. You know, I don't like to say free consult, but I'm going to use it here. You'll have to watch the video on why I don't like free consult, but some sort of call to action to get people to call you for your services. Now, that is a vanilla, right? Like that is something we should all be doing because that further supports the other three types of getting clients, but that in itself can also get clients, but it's very slow going. You have to build an audience. If you're podcasting, you have to build an audience there. If you're Facebook Living, you have to build an audience there. If you're YouTubing, guess what? You have to build an audience there. All of this requires an audience to work, and you can build an audience utilizing a consistent piece of content, but it can take longer. There is no like urgency, so no one's like going to have to get on your calendar, and your message has to be honed. So those are your 4 options on how to utilize digital marketing techniques on how to get clients now.